Welcome to CEO Sales Sessions. I'm Gazi, your host, former political staffer turned entrepreneur and founder of Sales Beyond Scripts, where I build CEOs whose sales feel effortless and profit becomes inevitable. I've spent years in the highest pressure rooms, both in politics and business, and I'm bringing you everything I learned straight to this mic. No fluff, no filler, just actionable steps, tough love, and big thinking alongside some of the sharpest CEOs in the game. Let's get to work. Welcome back to another episode. Today, I'm so excited to bring you one of my own clients, Morgana, someone who I've worked with for the last few months, but I've also introduced to our community, and so many other women have gotten so much value from her expertise and knowledge. So get ready to lock in, grab your notebooks, because we're diving into today's episode. Before I go into the questions that I have, I want to give you a short introduction of who Morgana is so you know where she's coming from, where the expertise is rooted in, and what advice you could take from her. So, fun fact, actually, Morgana is a former two-time world champion Latin dancer, a certified perimenopause coach, and a best-selling author. After a decade of extreme fad dieting and body shaming that led her to developing adenomyosis, new word I'm learning, Morgana turned to holistic health. She reversed the growths in her uterus and built an entirely new relationship with her body. Now, through her company, This Isn't a Diet, which I just love the branding of, she helps women in midlife lose that stubborn weight and restore their hormone balance without restriction by resetting their feminine biology instead. She blends biohacking, holistic health in a way that actually works for women who are busy, who are ambitious, and who are done being told that you need to eat less and work out more. Thank you so much, Morgana, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know that we just got off of a high from the retreat a few days ago, and I have not stopped hearing about you from all of the women that were there, because I felt that they felt you were such a breath of fresh air. And in the sense that a lot of the times when women are learning about their bodies, it's taught to them in a way where they need to change, they're not good enough, or that they're, being marketed to from this boys angle.
Yeah.
And I loved hearing the feedback from the women at the retreat that they felt that they were seen for the first time, that you truly understood what they were going through. And, as a Manny told me, her mom has never been so invested in her own health. And so I just wanted to share that with you before we get started, of how incredible your impact has been for all of the women that are that were at the retreat with us, and the impact that you're already making in their lives just from that short workshop that you had. So after seeing you in your zone of genius, I was like, girl, of course we have to bring you on the podcast, because I know that there are so many high achieving women that deprioritize their well-being, and they need a little bit of Morgana in their lives. So thanks for being here.
No, thank you. Honestly, I love the retreat. I love working with highly ambitious women in that sense, because you're so right. We always take ourselves off of the priority list. The business comes first, the kids come first, the partner comes first, and we usually come last. And so just being able to learn a little bit more about your body and learn how to work with it, it's that's my passionate, and it was such a pleasure to be there.
Yeah, I want to share a little bit more about your story and what got you into this experience, because I think you can share it so well because you've gone through it. So would you just share a little bit more about your story of what happened when you were dancing, and then how did you get introduced to this entirely new industry?
Yeah, so I'll give you the Reader's Digest version because it's a long story, but basically 10 years. I grew up in the dance world from when I was 3 until I retired when I was 24. So it's a long time that I was in the industry. And when my body started to change, I had all these negative comments coming all the time. And, as a woman, it just kills your confidence. And then you have to go out on the floor and like own the floor. And you're hearing all of these things from judges, teachers, also my dance partners. So it was just like, it was not a fun time.
Like they're commenting on the weight.
Yes. And I also had a dance partner. To be very fair, like I had a dance partner who was similar height and build to me.
Okay.
And you have to look smaller. Like I'm quite a tall girl. So I didn't fit that normal dancer aesthetic. And I think I was trying to be something that I wasn't all those years. And I'm a very like maximalist person. So I was like I've tried every diet under the sun. Now I've done the overtraining, like waking up at 6 a.m. to jump on the treadmill, be in the studio like 8 hours and then teach on top of that. And plus to university, I was completing a degree at the time. So it was just a lot and my body was in survival mode. I also spent $80,000 on diet plans, on, I was being marketed to the firming creams, the diet pills, all of the things that we hear in the weight loss industry. So I heavily invested into that. And it was about, I had a decade of doing that. So it was about 8 years in where I started having a lot of pain in my uterus. And I was having like really heavy periods. And I was like, okay, let me go get it checked. And I honestly just wanted to get on birth control because I was having really bad acne and pain. And I had heard from my girlfriends who were on it. They're like, trust me, your skin will be better after this. So they did a scan and then they found the growth starting to happen. And that was kind of like, oh, shit. So that was kind of where I was then taken into that whole new world. I was asking doctors, like, what can I do to like reverse this? Because it can become full-blown endometriosis if you don't take care of it. And I would love to have a family in the future. So that scared me. And they honestly, the nutritionist, the doctors, like, we don't know what to do. So, but maybe you should try diet and exercise. I was like, literally been doing that for 10 years. And so that's when the solution didn't fit the problem. And I took matters into my own hands. I started to do the research, started to apply the things that I was learning. And I'm happy to report I'm 3 years growth free now.
Incredible.
Which I'm so happy about. It was such a relief. Any stubborn hormonal weight that I had, it shifted. Like people started commenting the last 2 years I was dancing. They were saying, oh my God, you lost so much weight. Like, what are you doing? I was receiving like finally the things that I had always wanted to hear. And so that was then I was like, oh my God, I want to help more women in the space. This is actually what I'm really passionate about doing. And that's how the company was born.
And I love the name, This Isn't a Diet. Tell me a little bit more about why it was so important that you made the name of the company, This Isn't a Diet.
Actually, it's like almost like fate because I wanted to call it Not a Diet and I wanted to name it notadiet.com, but the name was taken already. So I was like, how can we tweak this? So it was This Isn't a Diet. But I really wanted to have something that was like really just negative against diet culture and to just really make it clear to women when they would join and start to work with us that we're not putting you on a diet. We're putting you in a full lifestyle program, something that will get you your results and so you can have a sustainable lifestyle with it.
Yeah, what a breath of fresh air. Honestly, that's just what I think of because I have seen all of that marketing growing up being marketed that way constantly as a woman in every corner, Weight Watchers, this and that, the marketing around how they market to women. And it's always like you're fat and you need to lose weight. And I always thought that's not the full picture. And I never fell into any of those diets. I just had a massive aversion of like, I hate that stuff and I'm going to get away from all of this. But that's also not the solution either because I love what you're doing, which is around really educating women around their body and looking at this whole holistic view, not just wanting to lose weight, but truly understanding the full picture and addressing it as a whole. And I feel like in the women industry, like this isn't that common. And it's so nice to see you helping other women through experience and not just it being like, you heard my story when I shared at your event. I went to Good Life Fitness and this guy was asking me to point to a freaking picture of the size of girl I wanted to look like so that he could tell me what type of diet and workout plan I needed to have to achieve that. Yeah, disgusting, right? Literally, I'm like, ew, I despise that so much. And so I love that you've taken that experience and turned it into a whole movement to help other women. It's so good.
We always talk about bro marketing when we do our work together. I feel like it's the same in the health space for like bro diet culture.
100%.
And it's true because basically diet culture up until the 1990s, it was solely based on male biology. So then a lot of what we know now, like the calories in versus calories out, eat less, move more, it's all based on studies done for them. But then we're marketed to the same. And we're not small men. Our hormones change every day in relation to that. And that's why we see rising cases of infertility, hormonal conditions like I was experiencing, really painful periods. People think PMS is normal. PMS is not normal. It's a sign of a hormonal imbalance. So things like this, which we now think is more normal, it's actually because we're working against our feminine biology.
Yes. And I love that you said you have this saying of like working with the tide, not against it. What does that mean for you?
So all those years I was doing diet culture, I was literally working against my body because as any woman, our bodies are built to do two things, survive and reproduce. So whenever we're in a very highly stressed state, that survival kicks in and your reproduction is kicked out. So of course your hormonal health is going to go on the back burner. So that's exactly why I was really working against the tide, because the stubborn hormonal weight that sits around the belly, that sits around the thighs, that is under the arms, this is all stubborn hormonal weight. So you actually have to work with your reproduction. You need to get your body out of survival mode, out of that adrenal burnout, which so many women entrepreneurs have. That's how then you start to work with your body and not against the tide. And that's actually the thing most women, whenever we work together, like, oh my God, I'm finally working in flow with my body rather than against it. Because it doesn't feel good to do a diet, right?
It doesn't. No, I've never heard someone do a diet and feel incredible about themselves.
Yeah.
It's just never happened that way. They're hungry, they're hangry, and they want more food.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about food because, we're talking about busy businesswomen. And one of the things I see in my world is as soon as we wake up, we're on. So as soon as women wake up, we're, entrepreneurs that got busy lives. Some are also mothers. They've got other responsibilities, getting kids to school. And sometimes I would say, least important thing is taking care of ourselves, which means mornings look like caffeine and the laptop and making sure everyone else is okay. So I want to know what's actually happening in the body when we do this, and what is that costing us to not slow down to feed ourselves?
I love that. I like how you said feed ourselves, even if it's not necessarily through food in the morning, but just like doing deep breathing or just regulating your nervous system, just filling up your own cup before you pour into others. And this is exactly what I was saying at the retreat. Like, how can you pour into your business? How can you pour into others, your clientele that you're supporting, when you don't have any reserves left? And so that's why the health component is really important. And so when we're operating from a space of go, 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 and just chronic stress. And to be honest, like I felt that this week and I had to bring myself back into my own practices because we had a surge. Like this has been a record-breaking week for us. So we're so happy here at the company. But we have to then I had to remind myself, okay, like take care of yourself first, then you'll do the client plans, and then you'll support the others from a much more grounded space.
Yes.
So what that looks like for me, like it's a non-negotiable to make sure that I have my warm lemon water in the morning, I'm taking my supplements, I'm doing my deep breathing, my gratitude. I actually go on a vibration plate and I listen to this kind of meditation, if you will.
Yes.
And I do that for 10 minutes while I'm on the vibration plate. And then if I have time after the meditation, then I start checking my emails and then I get back into the business mode.
Yes.
But I've, fed myself and then I literally go and feed myself breakfast because that's so important for the blood sugar regulation. And it's so important for us as women to eat within 60 minutes of waking. So you're not communicating to your body that we're waking up, we have high cortisol, and we're in that stress state of go, go, go. You need to give your body some fuel so that way you can stabilize your blood sugar and protect your cortisol levels.
I feel like so many of us don't know this because like for years I was intermittent fasting. I'm just like, oh, like I'm not hungry in the morning. Like I'll just skip breakfast and just do lunch. Or I know so many people, they think eating less is going to make them skinnier or lose weight or not gain weight. So I want you to explain to me why eating is important and what should I be eating. So if I'm thinking about that morning, that 40 minutes, what should I be eating and why am I eating it in that time and what's it doing for me?
Yeah. So just on the intermittent fasting, there are benefits to it. And I would only approach that with a client once their hormones for at least 3 months have been regulated. And there's only certain times in the cycle where our bodies are more stress resilient to be able to do that. So I just want to preface that because it is a beautiful practice, especially if you're postmenopausal. You can do this more around the clock. If you're cycling and your hormones are changing every day, you should be supported by a practitioner.
Got it.
As for food itself, so protein, anyone who listens to any talk of mine, I always will bring protein in and blood sugar regulation in. So protein takes the longest to break down and it supports your metabolism. So basically you're building lean muscle, and especially I work with a lot of clients in midlife where muscle mass is declining at about 2% per year. So we need to really work hard in order to maintain muscle mass. Now, if you're eating 30 grams of protein per meal, you're getting about 90. Usually, I would say an optimal protein intake, depending on how active you are, it's different for everyone, is about 100 to 120. So you even want to be pushing it a little bit more than 30. But for example, in the morning, that might look like eggs, but not just eggs. I was actually talking to a client this morning. She's like, what if I have 3 eggs? I was like, okay, well, there's about 6 grams of protein in 1 egg.
Okay.
So you're only getting about like 18 grams of protein in.
Sure.
So we got to bring in something else. Can we do like a chia seed pudding with that? Can we add some smoked salmon on the side? Can we add hemp hearts to a salad? Like what can we do to bring in some more protein? So that would be really important. And healthy fats. So the healthy, like the low fat trend, again, something I'm really not an advocate for because cholesterol builds your sex hormones. And especially as we go through midlife, and even if you're in your regular cycling years and you're listening to this, your hormones, like you have to build them month after month, day after day. And they need those healthy fats. And it also brings down inflammation in the body. So for example, if we're building that plate that has the 3 eggs, we have smoked salmon, we have half an avocado on there, that's a really blood sugar friendly plate, something that's savory. To basically, you're going to have stable energy throughout the day. You're not going to crash at 3 p.m. and rely on caffeine to get throughout your day because you're supported.
Which I know happens so many times. It's like I can start the day off strong, but then there is that crash. But I guess as you're saying, there isn't that food in the body that's fueling to go long enough.
Yeah. Well, the westernized diet, right? We'll grab some cereal or we'll grab like a little smoothie or we'll grab oatmeal. It's all sugar. So you're in your most glucose sensitive state in the morning because you have nothing in your stomach. So you want to be filling that up with proteins and healthy fats to stabilize your energy throughout the day and also to put yourself in fat burning mode. When you have sugar first thing in the morning, like let's say you go and you make like a banana mango smoothie and you're like, oh, I'm having a smoothie. I'm being so good, right? Like prime diet culture. That's all sugar. Especially you take out the fiber when you break it down in a blender. So it's literally a sugar bomb that you put into your body. So in about an hour, you're going to feel hungry. You're going to be crashing and you're going to go get like a vanilla latte to kind of be a pick-me-up for yourself. And so then you have more sugar cravings throughout the day. We were talking about this at the retreat as well, right?
Yes, because that's the problem that I have is I'm constantly craving sugar. But break that down for me. You said the banana smoothie is all sugar. So you're considering like even real sugar. You're still saying that's still sugar though.
Yeah. So the lowest glycemic fruits is berries, apples, avocado, and olives, right? Which you wouldn't think of as fruits, but technically they're fruits. When you have bananas, like very tropical fruits, it's actually really good to have in the second half of your cycle because your liver needs a little bit of extra sugar to help with the progesterone creation. So there are times for it, for sure.
Got it.
But I wouldn't start my day off with that. And if I did, I would add protein, I would add collagen to the smoothie so that at least that sugar has something to absorb through slowly. So it's not directly put into your fat stores for the rest of the day.
Got it. So what's your go-to breakfast in the morning? And is it something that you're repeating, or are you using different things throughout the week?
No, I'm like I will change up the fruits and the, depending on what I'm doing, but I'm active first thing in the morning. So I'll allow myself a little bit of some carbs from fruit because I'm going to go use that energy. So my go-to lately has been like a coconut yogurt. I steer clear of dairy, and it has protein already in it, 7 grams.
Yeah.
And then I'll make it into a chia seed pudding. So I'll let that sit out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I put hemp hearts. I do seed cycling with that. So I'll put in 2 types of seeds, Brazil nuts to protect the thyroid, almond butter, and then about a half a cup of berries. And
delicious.
Yeah, so it's really good. And because I also use a little bit of holistic, so Ayurveda, because I suffered with poor digestion for so long, it's always for myself and for some of my clients, we have to cook our whole foods a little bit more. So like I might cook like raspberries if I'm ovulating and then put that in because that's really good during ovulation. And then I'll top that and like mix it in. And I don't need to add like sweetener to that because again, when you cook the fruits as well, it's a little bit sweeter, right?
Yeah. Okay, delicious. And then, so that's giving you the energy to get the day started.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're basically saying starting on coffee with an empty belly. What's happening if we're doing that? Like what happens right away when we wake up and we're just having coffee?
So coffee on an empty stomach is very highly acidic. So your gut might become inflamed firstly. And also what wakes us up in the morning is actually cortisol. It's actually a good hormone. But when we're in a chronic cortisol state, that's when it's not so good. And coffee, it basically increases that cortisol. So you might feel really jittery. You might have more inflammation and puffiness. Like there was that whole Instagram trend of the cortisol face, right? Like the puffy face. And so one of the best things you can do is if you love coffee, have it after your breakfast. Once you have something in your stomach.
Yeah.
Or I always mention this, make a bulletproof coffee. It's like something made by a famous biohacker, Dave Asprey. Or add protein to your coffee or collagen, like protect it. Because I do know that a lot of us, like I myself don't have children, but some of my clients like, oh, I got to get the kids out of the door, but I got to have my coffee, right?
Yes.
I'm like, okay, let's put collagen in there.
At least get
something.
Yes.
Yeah, let's protect it in some way. And if you can, maybe prep a smoothie the night before or egg bites or something. So there are ways around it.
So I want to touch now a little bit about cycle, because now already in just the first few moments of talking, you're like, well, I'm having this based on this cycle and I'm having this based on this time of the month. That's a whole new way of thinking. Like how we just talked about, the research was done around men. So when we're being marketed to, it's not always based on these cycles. If you were to break it down just super 101 for me, how would I understand how to sync with my cycle in a way that's supporting me, my business, my body? What does that actually look like? And what do I need to know to be able to work with the tide and not against it?
I love it. So this is like my playhouse. This is where I have the most fun. So cycle syncing encompasses your whole life. It has to do with how you eat in order to build your sex hormones at certain times, to balance your blood sugar, how you move, because also in the first 2 weeks when you're in your follicular and ovulation phase, because we have 4 phases, by the way. So follicular ovulation, luteal, menstruation.
Okay.
So first 2 weeks, we're more stress resilient. You have more energy. Like a lot of us feel like, I like to say ovulation, you feel like superwoman because you have also the kick of testosterone, high estrogen, like literally we're peaking at that time. And so you can do so much during that time. And so you're more stress resilient. You can have more high intense movement during that time. And you can actually speed up weight loss at that time. Versus in the second half of your cycle, if you're trying to like no pain, no gain it, you're actually working against your body. And so actually gentler movement, for example, in the second half is highly recommended. Or even if you're doing strength training, which I highly recommend, listen to your body. And if you need to decrease the weights at that time, do that. In terms of business, the funny thing is you can also cycle sync your social life and your work life. So when we have estrogen coming in the follicular phase, we're more creative at that time. That's just what that hormone does to us. So like brainstorming during your business, this is the peak time to be basically like thinking of new marketing ideas, new product launches. And so this is exactly what I do in my business is I'm thinking, okay, when I have that surge of energy, I feel unstoppable. I'm like, what can we do? This is when you get the most voice notes from me.
I get it
completely.
It's like, hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? The ideas are flowing at that time.
Exactly. When you're ovulating, those 3 days, you have enhanced communication as a woman. So if you have networking events that fall in those days, you're going to be so much better at communicating at that time because you have a little bit of testosterone coming in, you have the estrogen, and like I said, you just feel unstoppable. You're like a little bit more confident to go and approach people and make those connections. So utilize that if you can. Like anytime I'm planning an event, I will try and plan it around when I'm ovulating.
I love that. I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah. Like you can literally cycle sync all of it. The same with luteal phase. So if you're the type to procrastinate, luteal phase is when you're going to get it done, basically. This is when we as women, I don't know if you ever noticed, but before your period's coming, you're starting to like do things that you wouldn't normally do. You're like checking things off the to-do list, if that makes sense. So you're like, oh my God, I have to do this and this and this. And like, I'm in that phase right now. So I just like backlog so much stuff I had to do. And you get it done. And the reason your body is naturally asking you for that is because menstruation is about resting. It's about reflecting. This is when we actually are the most intuitive at this time. And so it's the best time to actually do a reflection on your business. Be like, what kind of month did I just have? How can I improve for next month? And then follicular phase comes back around and you have those ideas coming from that reflection you've just done. So that would be a cycle synced business as an example.
I love that. Yeah. And I think it comes back to what you're saying. It's like use it to go with the flow as opposed to like working hard or working against. Like it's like just flow with it. It sounds so much more feminine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the natural working day, it's built around the male biology of a circadian rhythm, right? Yes. So typically, like as testosterone is rising in the day, most men are doing emails. It peaks in the middle of the day, so that's when most meetings are. It'll start to decrease at the end of the day, so that's when you'll go get a drink with friends after work. You'll go home to a loved one, and then you retire for the evening, right? But we as women, for example, for ovulation, we don't have that fatigue that men have at the end of the day because their testosterone is lowering. It's the same every day. They have a same hormonal pattern. Ours, still at 8 p.m., you're feeling great, even if you've had a really long day.
Yeah.
So again, it's so different.
That makes so much more sense to me because when we're done work, my husband's like, I need to chill. And I'm like, no, like I want to do stuff still. That would make sense.
Yeah. Exactly. And so we're operating on different hormonal patterns.
Yes.
So in male-led companies, I know some companies are starting to take on this approach. But again, it's so difficult when you have so many women that are in different phases of their cycle as well.
Yeah.
But if you're a woman-led business, there are some women-led businesses like mine, for example, where we do this. And so we can utilize each other's strengths at different times. So if you're ovulating, I'll send you to the networking event. If I'm lutealing, I'll be, doing the to-do list. And so that's kind of how women working together, it can be such a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, I really love that. Yeah. And one of the things that you talk a lot about is this stubborn hormonal weight. What is that?
So that typically is belly fat. The majority of women, they're like, oh my God, I want to lose the pouch, right? And so I hear this every day. And so that's typically driven by 3 hormonal imbalances. Firstly, chronic high cortisol. The other one be insulin resistance. And then the other one is estrogen dominance. So chronic high cortisol we briefly touched on. It's basically when your adrenal glands, you're living in like an adrenal burnt out state where it's constantly putting cortisol into circulation in order to just have energy and get through your day. And then the insulin resistance is basically insulin is meant to bind to your sugar molecules, glucose. So you have energy for later. It's meant to like store that energy. But when those receptors become less sensitive, then we have free-floating energy, free-floating glucose on one side, and we have free-floating insulin that cannot bind to one another. So you're storing more fat just because they can't physically bind and store it in our liver and our muscles for energy. So again, that's the other one. And then estrogen dominance, because there's so many estrogen mimickers nowadays, like synthetic fragrances, those bind to estrogen receptors in your body. So we're having an influx of estrogen dominance in like endometriosis cases, adenomyosis, which I had. And estrogen loves to bind to adipose tissue receptors and accumulate as more fat. So again, estrogen dominance is a main driver as well for stubborn belly fat. So those three hormonal patterns, I typically see a combination of the three, but it really depends person to person. So those would be kind of what would be going on from like a hormonal level.
And when you see that going on, like what's, I'm going to air quote, solution for that? How do you help women get out of this? Because I know it's not the goal necessarily to lose the weight. The losing of the weight naturally happens when you're in flow with the feminine biology. But how are you helping them get to that space?
Yeah. So the estrogen dominance comes later if we're dealing with all three. The first two, cortisol and insulin, are foundational hormones. So we can't start with estrogen because we have to deal with the foundation first.
Okay.
So there's like a hierarchy of the hormones.
Okay.
So the first thing we'll do is balance your blood sugar, because I always start with this one because that puts you in an immediate fat burning state. And also because even if we dealt with the cortisol, but you're still having like a sugary breakfast, whenever your blood sugar spikes, your cortisol is going to spike. Your body immediately goes into like a stress state. So we need to do insulin first. We need to make sure that you're having enough protein, enough healthy fats, you're making good choices. I do biohacking. So like, for example, going for a walk after like maybe a very carb heavy meal. So you're using up that energy, like simple things like that. And then we'll deal with the cortisol. So this one takes longer, to be honest, especially with highly ambitious women. Like, where can we set boundaries? Where can we include, as I mentioned, like a deep breathing exercise in the morning before you go fill up other cups? Maybe we need to take adaptogens. Maybe there's some supplementation we need to take. We basically need to learn to slow down, in other words. This is the hardest one.
I was going to say, so easy to say, so hard to do.
Yeah. So that's kind of the first kind of work that we do. And then for the estrogen, we need to help estrogen properly metabolize and detox. So that would be the next step in the process. And we can do that through a variety of foods, through using detox strategies like sauna, dry brushing, exfoliation, et cetera, et cetera.
You talked a little bit about biohacking. That word sounds really interesting to me. What does that actually mean? Because I'm like, is there shortcuts to this? Like we can hack the system? Like what does that actually mean?
Yeah. So biohacking literally means like hack your body. So can we basically use simple strategies that don't take up X amount of time, because we're all very busy, in order to get the results that we want? So for example, blood sugar biohacking, instead of taking carbs off your plate, that's what peak diet culture will do. Like they'll throw the carbs out first, right?
Yeah.
We need carbs to ovulate, to protect ovulation. So again, it doesn't work with our biology. But basically what we need from that is, let's say we have carbs on a plate. We have protein, healthy fats, we have the carbs. So I'm not going to take the carbs off the plate. I'm going to have the protein, the fiber, and the fats first. I'm going to create a solid base in my stomach. So that way when I have the carbs, it can absorb slowly through digestion, through all of that base that I've created. So that way, if I ate the carbs first, what would happen? It would hit my bloodstream immediately on an empty stomach, and it would again spike my glucose, and my insulin would come in right away. So I'm getting a spike. So if I have something in my stomach for it to absorb through, then I'm able to use that as energy as I go throughout my day and stay with a flatter glucose and insulin curve. So that way I'm in a fat burning mode, not in a fat storing mode.
So the hack is, it's not that you don't have to eat it. It's the order that you're eating it so that it burns in the right way to fuel energy rather than spike the wrong things.
Exactly. Other ones are like, if you want to live like your life, right? Like when you're on a diet, you can't live your life at all, right?
No, you truly can't.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, because it does take away from the quality of the life.
Yeah.
When you're constantly like, oh, can't eat that.
Yeah.
I was telling a friend last time, I saw this really like fit looking girl, beautiful body. But when we ordered food, she was like, I can't eat any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I have chicken in the car. And I thought, I'm so sad. Like, at first I was like, that's a fire body. But then when I looked under it, I'm like, is that really quality of life? And maybe it is for some people.
Mhm.
But for me, part of quality of life is like enjoying a good meal with the people that I love and having a good conversation over breaking bread. And like, it's a cultural thing for me to like
Mhm.
eat, of a love language to eat with the people that I love. And to think that sometimes dieting takes away from that because you can't be present in the moment and you're not allowing yourself to have what you want. And I think, what are we telling our bodies when it's that restriction mindset, that belief of like, you can't have that?
Yeah.
Like, it creates more of a battle, I feel.
Yeah. I actually just did a consult the other day with a new client, and she was telling me that her daughter has never seen her eat a cupcake. So they went to go get, yeah, they went to like a coffee shop, and this daughter saw a mom and her daughter eating cupcakes, and she's like, "Mom, why is she having a cupcake? I thought moms don't eat cupcakes." And she was realizing, she was like, "Oh my God, like I didn't realize the impact that my restrictive choices are having on my kid." She's thinking that once you hit a certain age, you can't have sugar and you have to restrict.
Yeah.
And she was like, she thought that moms just have coffee. So
Oh my God.
yeah, it like you should be able to live your life. And that's
Yeah.
the beautiful thing when you learn how to hack it and you learn that there are tricks to the trade.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You eat what you want, but in a certain way,
Yeah.
with balance. And I think that's one of the things I saw you sharing at the retreat when you were talking to one of our guests, where it was like, you can eat what you want, but eat it in this order. And then you even said, could you leave a little bit on the plate?
Yeah.
And I remember people being like, why would I leave it on the plate? Like, I'm going to eat it all. And so I think it's this balance of like, yeah, eat whatever you want, but you can't eat whatever you want. So how like, what's that practice? How do you find that balance between the discipline and also the delicious food? Like, what is that? And is there a certain strategy or plating, or is it a mindset, or is it a mix of both of those things?
So the reason I said it to that woman was because she was, and I was the same, when you grow up and your parents tell you like finish your plate. And so here in North America, we have huge portion sizes. And so I was like, I challenge you to feel uncomfortable by just like leaving one bite. And she was like, I saw the tension coming in her neck.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So that's why I did it. But, if you want to finish your plate, if you're hungry, like go for it.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
should.
Yeah.
The healthy balance comes from practicing intuitive eating. That's the first like pillar in my fat burn protocol that clients go through is like, I want to swear so badly, like,
Yeah, tell me.
fuck the diet culture.
Yeah, obviously.
And let's give yourself complete food freedom. Okay. So imagine now you can eat anything that you want to eat, right? Of course, like in the beginning, the first 2 days, and I use myself as an example because whenever I would be working for a competition, I would restrict. And I would think in my head, I'm like, when I have a week off after this, I'm going to have pizza on top of pasta, on top of cupcakes, on top of ice cream.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would do that for a day and I would feel like crap. And my body would be screaming at me for some like protein and like a salad and like just fuel me. And so, yes, maybe in the beginning, like the first day or two maximum, you're going to make maybe not the best choice.
Yeah.
But then your body is going to be like, okay, that didn't really feel that good. So can we now like make better choices? And you're going to start to naturally pivot towards what makes you feel good. Because the thing is, with diet culture, it's like you give a kid all these toys and then you take away one toy. And the kid, it has all these toys in front of it, but it just wants that one toy that you took away.
Yes.
And the same goes for diet culture. So if I take out carbs, I remember when I was doing keto and trying to do keto, I wanted to, after dance practice, go to a grocery store, buy bread, sit in the parking lot by myself and just... And that was like the toy that somebody took away from me. And like, I'm not a huge bread girl, but I wanted bread.
When you can't have it,
Yeah.
the desire is like, want it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of that's the analogy I use. So give yourself the food freedom and you will naturally start to make better choices and live a more balanced lifestyle. So for example, if I want to, it's summer right now, if I want to go have ice cream with my friends, I'll do it. Absolutely. But then after that, I'm probably going to like the next day, I'm going to maybe not feel the best. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually craving something a little bit more like hearty protein wise.
Yes.
You'll get in tune with that.
I love that there's trust. And I think that's what like intuition and intuitive eating is, where it's like, it doesn't have to be a certain way. It's like, just trust yourself that you know how to fuel your body. And I guess it's a mix of two things, because when you have the education of what is good for you, and then you know what makes you feel good, then you can equip yourself with the right things. Like, we knew we were coming today and I would be filming 3 back-to-back podcast episodes. So last night I prepped chia seed bowls for Nika and I. I took kefir, we blended in mangoes, I put some oats in there, where I was like, you know what? Like, intuitively, I know I'm going to be hungry. And when we come to the podcast and we don't have food afterwards, like we leave and we're like, babe, what should we eat? Like, should we get tacos? Should we get pizza? Like, what should we get on the way? Because we've restricted food from ourselves. So when we trust and we can kind of move in flow, I feel like the decisions become a lot more supportive, rather than this like binge eating or from hanger decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Those hanger decisions, that's what really like doesn't move the needle. Let's put it that way. And so many people, when they're on diet culture, they'll be good Monday to Friday. The weekend rolls around.
Yes.
Off go the reins, and like you go, everyone says like I go off track, and then they kind of are like, I'm not going to do the diet altogether, all or nothing mindset. Again, 80-20 lifestyle, like you can have the thing, just let's also have good habits that support your body as well.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I want you to share, like, because you've obviously worked with so many women, what's that one thing that you've taught them or shared with them, or it's a supplement that's for all of them, it's made such a impactful difference for them? I know biohacking is one of them, because I saw everyone's face when you taught it at the retreat. But what else could you share?
So that blood sugar regulation would probably be the top one. If I had to then put something else to a supplement, it would have to go in one of 2 ways. Either creatine or either a magnesium glycinate. The reason magnesium glycinate is like 90% of women are deficient in it. So this is something that we clearly need, and maybe your body is also not using minerals in the right way. So we might need to put like a taurine with it to help. But when clients are on it, their sleep changes and their bowel movements change, because it just relaxes those muscles. If you're chronically constipated, which a lot of women are, magnesium glycinate will really, really help you just have frequent bowel movements. And then the creatine on top of that, firstly, it helps you with cellular energy. So it helps stimulate ATP. So like you feel good. Like I didn't have a good night's sleep yesterday, and then I woke up, I had my electrolytes and creatine, and I felt instantly better. Plus, if you add that with strength training, it helps you build lean muscle quicker.
Yeah.
So you speed up your metabolism, and you're just burning, like you're constantly in a fat burning state, because when you have more muscle, your body needs more fuel just to keep the muscle there. So it will burn more calories at rest.
Yeah, there's so much more research about creatine now as well. Like, I'm also seeing the research that it's not just for the workout part of it, but even for brain health.
Yeah.
And every day, just having that in your water is making such a big difference as well.
Absolutely. If you run a business, I mean, I think you need creatine in your life.
Yeah, need that mental clarity. Give that creatine in the water, right?
Yeah.
Nice. So those are the 2 supplements that you're thinking are making a very big difference.
I believe so. If I had to equate it to one more, it would be in the bulletproof coffee, we put MCT oil, just thinking what you said about the brain clarity. So MCT oil is a medium chain triglyceride, and basically it goes to your liver. It stimulates ketones right away. And what that does for you, you'll be more in a fat burning state, but it goes straight to your brain and you have more brain clarity right away. So people feel good right away. They're like, what is this coffee? Like, I feel so much better. I can think clearly, especially in perimenopause, when brain fog is just like one of the main symptoms.
That is, I get the trends of Instagram. It's like, if you have brain fog, so it seems like that's a big thing that women are dealing with.
Yeah, for sure.
And why is that?
The brain fog?
Yeah.
Well, it's a hormonal thing.
Like what's happening in perimenopause that's creating that?
It's specifically in perimenopause, we're having less of like good neurotransmitters that are helping the body and basically the brain function optimally. Pair that with like impaired sleep. So majority of women are waking up between 2 to 4 a.m. And that's when our bodies are supposed to get deep restorative sleep. That's because we're having declining progesterone. So what happens basically during that deep restorative sleep, your brain, we have something called glial cells. And so what happens is your brain will naturally, these cells will expand, and there's this cerebral fluid that comes in, and it basically cleans up amyloid plaque. Now, amyloid plaque is a main driver of like Alzheimer's disease and cognitive disorders. So you need that deep restorative sleep in order to prevent that and to think clearly the next day. So when we're having disrupted patterns of sleep, I would say that would be the main reason for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
The woman human body is so interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
I geek out on this stuff.
I know. And I could hear you talk about it for days, which is incredible. I love it so much. So now I want to talk a little bit about sales. We've been working together over the last few months. I've seen you just literally blossom. And I want to know a little bit about your experience working together. What have you either learned about sales or what has changed around what you thought about sales? Because, this week we just celebrated the most amount of clients in 1 week. And I'm so happy for you, but that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. So what changed about you, about your beliefs, about sales? Like, how did we even get here?
I think stepping away from the bro marketing was the first thing. When we first, like my approach was very bro marketing because that's what I had learned. And even being sold to by you, it felt really organic. It felt like I want to see you succeed. And like I told you, for example, I needed the weekend just to think about it, just to move around some stuff. So that way I can make sure that Monday we can start strong. You were like, yeah, for sure. Let me know Monday. And like bro marketing approach, it's like, no, let me know today. By the end of the
Make a
day.
decision on this call.
Yeah. And like that just feels so, especially when you're selling to women, like we don't respond to that.
That's right.
And so I think also just really one of the main things that we did in the beginning, like I know you were saying when I went to the retreat, people felt really empowered. But when we started together, if you remember, the first thing we did was like change my Instagram bio because it didn't sound empowering. I was still operating from that, like I thought I had to sell like exactly what I was trying to get away from, the diet culture. I was like, lose 10 pounds in this many days. And like we made it sound so much more empowering. And that's what our mission was, but it didn't align with our messaging. So I think that was like the first thing that we really changed. The sales approach. And then the biggest thing that I really loved is like just doing more events and just meeting people organically. Which I love. And I love doing the speaking and the education part of it. And I think that just builds trust so much quicker. Like we've been talking about this, how you need like 7 to 12 touch points online for somebody to even get on a call with you.
That's right.
Versus we did the retreat and there was so many women that booked a call immediately after because they see you.
Yeah, they see you and they know it's the real deal.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been making like the most change, I would say.
Yeah, and I can even feel like when we're talking about selling to women, it's about I never want someone to buy something because they hate themselves or they're ashamed of it and they want me to fix them.
Exactly.
That's not the buyer that I want to attract, And I think when we talk about our sales approach, it's about empowering people so that they can make a hell yes decision. So, when you and I spoke on the call, it's like, sure, I could have been like, why do you need the weekend to think? Which is what the traditional boys also taught me, right? It's like, well, let me ask you this question. What do you need to think about? Like, didn't we address all the points on this call? Like, I'm curious, what's still like left on the table to think about? And even that, I'm like, the energy of it, it feels gross coming out of my mouth because it's like, do I want somebody to make a decision from that energy? Versus it's like, yeah, take your time. Let me know on Monday because I want when someone says yes to their health, to their business, to whatever it is that they've decided. that they're ready to say yes, because the way they're going to show up to the calls, like, you're one of my best students. You show up ready, you do your homework because you want to,
Yeah.
not because
Absolutely.
I forced you into a decision.
Exactly.
And even with women, as you're helping them with their health, we don't want them to come in where it's like, so do you want to lose weight? Do you want to do this? How badly do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to lose weight? Now, what have you tried before? Like, these are traditional sales call scripts that I've seen that I'm like, let's ditch that and listen to what women are saying. And I want to mirror back to you that the women felt that you asked such great questions and you made them feel so empowered about their health. So whatever we're doing together, girl, that shit working. Like, for real, that is working.
No,
That is
literally.
working.
We just had a couple new clients come in, and I saw one of them today, and she hugged me and she was like, thank you so much for like, even like just for listening, and like literally thank you for selling to me.
Yes,
Which
that's
you would never think of that, but
that's
like
it.
it's like, wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the way that I want people to feel. And I also want us to have that belief that if we sell truly knowing we can help someone, then your prospect would say thank you to you.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. If you don't have that, then you had no reason to sell to that person in the first place. Isn't that such a good feeling to receive that?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
even just back to you, like whenever we are at an event together,
Yes.
like anything, I always say like, this woman has changed my life. And so those are like the people you want to work with. Same
That's
like
it.
with me,
That's
when
it.
clients tell me that, I'm like, oh, that's like
That's
dream
my-
client,
That's my
you know?
client right there. That's it. And I know now, like, you're just going to be able to help so many more women
Thank you.
now that you've truly locked in with this idea that you're going to help more people. And selling is the most caring thing that you could do for a person that you know you could help. There's so many women that need this help out there. So I'm really happy that you got that learning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So to wrap this up, I want to ask you a final question. If there's a woman who's listening to this episode and she wants to make one change tomorrow, today, what's that one thing that we can start doing today to make a difference and work with our feminine biology?
I would say kind of what we touched on in the beginning.
Yeah.
Find a way, and it's different for everybody. Find a way that you fill into your cup first thing in the morning before you go and fill into others. So what does that look like to you? Is that like a deep breathing exercise? Is that having a slower morning? So maybe you wake up 15 minutes earlier so that way you can like do your skincare slowly, or take like a beautiful hot shower, or like just do something that really nourishes your body. Maybe it's like a lymphatic massage.
Literally what I did this morning. Took a hot bath, massaged my belly,
Beautiful.
gua sha'd my face, literally that. Yeah.
And I can feel that because now you're able to like pour into this conversation,
But
right? Versus I know you were like in the hospital for a few days. If you hadn't have done that, maybe you would come from like a different space.
totally.
So again,
Totally.
yeah, it's different for everybody. Might look different every day.
Yep.
But find something that like really just pours into you before you go and do the other things.
I love that. And I want to talk about some resources that you can share with our community. What can we get from you? Like, I know we've got some lead magnets, some stuff. What are some resources that if someone got some value on this in this conversation and they wanted to take that next step to learn a little bit more about you and learn a little bit more about their feminine biology, what do you have to share with them?
Yeah. So my website is thisisanadiet.com. If you go /toolkit, we have a full hormone and metabolism toolkit. So we have like a hormone cheat sheet. So literally the 5 main hormones, we give you so many hacks in there to start to biohack your hormones. So you could spend like 3 months alone on that and like be in such a different place with your hormones. There's also like a From Fatigue to Freedom 3-part video series I've done to teach you about like what's changing in your body in perimenopause, how to enter fat burning state, and how to reclaim your energy. I also have a full YouTube playlist as well. If you go to my YouTube, like a perimenopause playlist, we have videos on like why you're not sleeping, a perimenopause belly fat blueprint. Like there's so much resources there.
Wonderful.
Go to the toolkit and you can find something that is around your symptom, around what you're dealing with.
Yeah, and we'll link all of this stuff in the show notes below so that you can find some resources and take that next actionable step. Because I always say, education without implementation ain't shit. So
There we
if
go.
you got some value from this, but you're ready to take the next step, check out the show notes. We'll put all of Morgana's details for you there. As always, follow and stay connected on Instagram, and we will see you again next week for another episode. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I know as a CEO that time is your most valuable asset, so let's make it worth it. What's one thing that you're going to implement or embody today? Because listening without action is just entertainment. So DM me your takeaway on Instagram @AuthenticGazzy. I want to hear it, and I promise you I will hold you accountable. And if this episode resonated, share it with a woman in your circle who needs to hear this. And if you haven't already, follow and subscribe so you never miss a Tuesday. I'll see you next week.